Hi, my name is Marina Weatherly. I'm a teaching artist. I do visual arts and dance, and I am on the Montana Arts Council roster for teaching artists in schools and communities, and I teach in different schools throughout Montana. And I'd like to share some ideas with you today to help you integrate Indian Ed content into an arts residency. I'd like to speak a little bit about my own experience. Growing up, I was in a world of the arts and writing and different cultures. My mother, Elenita Brown, was a dance teacher, so I grew up dancing. My father was a writer and author and scholar of Native American religious traditions. And in the summer times as a child, we would travel around to different tribes and ceremonies and meet different tribal members and different families, and my father was friends with many of them. So I kind of grew up in that world. But I would like to share a way that you could integrate Indian Ed content into the arts, help you. What are some things you're going to want to look for and make sure that the students receive? Um, when you are combining Indian Ed uh, with the arts, it gives you an exciting opportunity not only to give the students an artistic experience, but to also uh, expand the students' worldview, give them give them a window into rich cultures, their heritage, tribal traditions, beliefs, exciting histories, and how time has changed those traditions. So there's continuity, and also what the changes are. Uh, it offers the student a different way of seeing and being and living in this world, and with the arts allows them to create a response to that knowledge. One of the important things to keep in mind when you're creating an arts residency integrating Indian Ed content is to recognize the very important role that art can play when integrating other subjects. So if you could picture a square with grids in it and all the different subjects the students are learning in school. Here's math and science and social studies, Indian education, and then arts way over here. All the subjects for the student become fragmented and disconnected to themselves and to each other. So now if you could envision a large circle with the different subjects just kind of floating, perhaps together, perhaps not, inside of this circle, and around, swirling through that circle, is a river. And the river is blending, connecting, moving through all of these subjects in a very layered and complex way. And I like to think of the river is the water, is the art. The art is the vehicle that moves through all of the subjects to help the student make sense of them, to connect, and to expand their knowledge with their artistic expressions. It's important for the teaching artist to be very tribally specific in their teaching content and not generic or just throw a symbol of this on that and this on that, but to know which culture, which tribal tradition did this content come from. And to do that, I would suggest starting with becoming a student again and inform yourself, become knowledgeable about the subject. Because the inspiration you'll be using in your art residency can come from central themes and ideas found in these cultural traditions that will inform and inspire yourself and the student's art. So if you're a native teaching artist, you might want to draw on what you know, your own tribe and where you come from, the land you come from, the stories that you know, and or inform yourself about another tribe to compare and contrast. If you're non-native teaching artist, I suggest starting with the concept of place, because place is everything, and Indian Ed for All essentially is place-based learning. All their history is tied up with the land and what happened in the land, the history, and everything that's in it. Place is everything to Native cultures and also to the students and where they live. So I would find out which tribe was either used or uh, passed through the area in which the school where your residency will take place, and go from there. Was it an ancestral homeland? How was it used? What are some traditional stories that relate to that place? And which tribes? Oftentimes, many tribes used one area for different reasons. Uh, some places, like Wolf Creek, where I've taught, is a passing through place. It wasn't a homeland per se. It was a way for them to go up to the Sweetgrass Hills or to hunt buffalo. And like the Salish and different tribes would go up there to collect the yellow clay on their way. They might gather their food as they're traveling. And this would give you a wonderful theme for traveling, transportation, passing through. What is it like to be displaced or on the move or to be nomadic? Or perhaps you might want to look at a nearby reservation and tribe and inform yourself more about that specific tribe. What are the stories of that tribe, the history, the land, the landscape? What are their stories that explain what made those land formations? What are their creation stories? Animals, what plants did they use? What were their beliefs about those animals and plants? Their traditional life ways, their culture, their worldview, and also their artistic expressions. Each tribe in Montana, we have 12 of them, is very different from each other. There are commonalities, but it's good to show also the differences in their life ways, style, and culture beliefs, and their dance and music, art forms. And then to think about time in place, the context. What happened in those places that would have changed the people's life way, and how did they adapt? How are people still adapting today? And relate it back to the student. Talk about displacement, adaptation. Uh, how do they see those things in their own life, and how can they connect to that? And throughout, as you're researching, you'll see common themes of relationship, human beings' relationship with their environment, with plants and animals, how they treat each other, how they treat those life forms with respect and reciprocity. And also the concept of time may be a major theme that might inform the art that you do with the students. Is it cyclical, or is it linear, or is it you tell the time with the seasons, and what are the names of the months? What are that tribe's calendar year? What months do they start with? What are the symbols that represent those months? The stars and astronomy, all the different stories that can make your residency exciting for the students. So I mentioned place because and everything in it, because it's such an important connector between the content and the student's own place, and everything in their own place. Food, family, relationships, language, and all that they do in that place, and how the place affects and impacts the student and forms them, informs them into who they are today. So the more the student can relate this knowledge to their own personal experience artistically, the better the outcome and the better learning experience takes place. For example, I was up on the in a Hutterite colony up just south of Heart Butte, and we had students. We were doing some teepee designs using the polka dot black and white motif at the bottom, and then the students were coming up with their own designs of animals and different things on the teepees. And I noticed the girls were wearing polka dot scarves, and that matched identically the teepee design. So they were able to make that connection. And after that, they were so excited to be wearing stars on their head all the time. And it changed how they viewed their own selves and their own symbols they have in their own culture. In addition, they had no idea who their neighbors were to the north, the Blackfeet. And once they heard some of the stories about the mountains and some of the creation stories that happen in the mountains and landscape that they look at every day, it made their world so much bigger and more meaningful.